Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan. I'm the publisher of Texas Scorecard, sitting here with our managing editor, Brandon Waltons, on what here in Central Texas is a cold, rainy day. We're supposed to have ice and snow and stuff later in the week.
It's supposed to be getting colder.
It's supposed to be getting colder and grosser, and I'm just having flashbacks to a year ago when we lost the power. But right now, we're going to talk about someone who's probably feeling pretty energized at the moment, and that's Alan West.
What a segue!
What a segue! I had no. This doesn't surprise you, but often I don't know where the words coming out of my mouth are going. Yeah. And so Alan West picked up the endorsement of Grassroots America, We the People, kind of a grassroots juggernaut group based in Tyler with the amazing Joanne Fleming at the helm. Brandon, about a month ago, I guess, they did their job interview. Past couple of weeks, they did a job interview.
Earlier this month. Yeah, they held a candidate forum, essentially, where they were asking questions. You had Chad Prather, Don Huffines, and Alan West show up. Of course, as has become a theme, the incumbent governor, Greg Abbott, was not there. But
although I think he wasn't actually invited. Yeah. They decided he wasn't qualified. So.
But you had those challengers there, and they did hold that. And then you did have just recently the organization saying, essentially, look, we're going to be behind Alan West.
Mm-hmm. And that's really big news for Alan West. I think certainly a guy who is known by a lot of folks because of his time in Congress, because of his appearance on Fox News, being the Republican Party chairman, but as a candidate for statewide office, and there's been a bit of this kind of head scratching around. But is he really serious? Does he really want to do the job? And it certainly gives him an interesting check mark. When he gets, whatever else you might think, Joanne Fleming is not someone who just hands out endorsements. So she is, very definitely, takes a look at how about the competency level of folks. So this is a big hit for a big win, if you will, in the endorsement landscape for Alan West. But it also points to, Brandon, I think it's we were talking about this a little bit ago, right before we started here, that you were making the point that 8 years in as governor, you would kind of expect that Greg Abbott would have everyone kind of locked up. And in fact, when you look at the grassroots, it's anything but that right now.
Yeah, I want to say one real quick thing before getting on that, and that is that when they put out this endorsement, I think this is very interesting, and it just tells you the landscape of things right now as a lot of grassroots are fed up with the governor, is that they also talked about Don Huffines and Chad Prather, those other challengers. They said, quote, and I pulled it up right now, we're so deeply grateful to Don Huffines and Chad Prather, who have long aimed a bright spotlight of truth on the mess Abbott has made while bringing forth bold solutions. When Texas needed courageous fighters to step up, they answered the call, running to the front of the battle. Godspeed to them both. Really something, you don't expect generally to hear that kind of language talked about when you're endorsing another candidate, and yet it just goes to show you how united we have seen grassroots against the governor. To your point, you would expect that he's running for a third term, that he would have the endorsements of some grassroots on lock, especially because that is essentially, at least in the political kind of thinking of things in the political class, the expectation will be, well, he is the incumbent governor. Right. He is a Republican.
He couldn't have got this far without all the support. Yeah.
Exactly. And so to see groups like Grassroots America endorsing Alan West, to see Julie McCarty of the True Texas Project endorsing Don Huffines last year, to see, you've got a number of these small groups that have been either endorsing or have been speaking out against the governor so far, and probably a lot more of that to come. It really shows you just how different this election cycle is going to be from some of the other ones we've seen.
Yeah, and some of this was highlighted for me, Brandon, with Saturday's rally in Montgomery County, where Donald Trump had a big rally, and you had some of the various statewide folks that he's endorsed there. Don Buckingham, who is running for land commissioner, Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor, Sid Miller, running for election as ag commissioner. But you had Governor Abbott there, and what we have what you heard in the video, and folks reported that there was, with everyone else, kind of the yay, Dawn Buckingham, even though most folks may not know who she is, but hey, she's speaking it throughout, so she must be good. But with Greg Abbott, there were boos. There were people who were, kind of. Usually at those kind of rallies, everyone's just giddy up, happy, and yet Greg Abbott didn't get that kind of reception.
No, it was if you want to be generous, it was a mixed reaction. He certainly received boos. You see that not just from people who were there who have relayed that, but you also see it from some of those videos. There was also a video going around this weekend, a kind of a clip of his speech where I think he says the name Donald J. Trump, using exactly that diction. Donald J. Trump uses it like 6 times in less than 30 seconds in a frankly pretty obvious attempt to sort of deflect away from perhaps some of the reaction he would be getting. It's an easy applause line when you're at a Trump rally to say Trump, right? And so that appeared to sort of be the strategy going in there. But yeah, not a great welcome, all things considered, for the governor.
Yeah, no, so look, a whole lot can happen. Early voting starts 2 weeks from tomorrow, so on the 14th of February. Today is the last day for folks to get registered to vote. I think you're obligated to morally say that or something. If you're not registered to vote, I don't know why. You probably shouldn't, quite honestly, at this point, if you haven't been paying attention. And then the primary, of course, is on March 1st. But I think that as folks are putting more and more attention into these primaries here over the next really 2 weeks, 4 weeks, that some of these grassroots endorsements are going to start being a lot more important as folks, not so much from the statewide groups, but from the local groups, as folks are asking, gee, who are my neighbors voting for? And that's what makes these kind of endorsements like Grassroots America, like Julie McCarty, all those kind of things important, is because they go to that question of, well, I don't know what a insert name of some state association means, but I do know what my neighbors are, and I trust my neighbors, and that's what makes those endorsements really important.
Right, and those are the sorts of things that we're going to see throughout the next week or two as we head into early voting, and it just goes to show you. As long as we at Texas Scorecard have been following this race, as long as a lot of people have been following it. In many ways, right, it starts now, right, or it started at least in January, because now is the time when a lot of these things start to really take shape, really take place. And so, we're going to continue covering it all. We've got DecisionTexas.com or TexasScorecard.com. You can go to Decision Texas right there at the top. That's where we're collecting all our stories about the gubernatorial race in Texas to make it easy for you to find, easy for you to share. And we're gonna be following this stuff pretty closely, because there's just more and more stuff coming out every day.
Yeah, I think for all of y'all watching here, not only here where you see these ongoing little videos, kind of conversations, but visiting DecisionTexas.com or TexasScorecard.com and clicking that Decision Texas tab will get you where we're trying to put as much coverage of the gubernatorial race as possible because this is an important decision for the state of Texas. This is critical, not just for Texas, but for the nation. This primary election is the most important election in the nation. The Republican primary race for governor is the most important election in the nation in all of 2022. That may sound hyperbolic, but it's true. What kind of fighter you're going to have, what kind of Republican. I know that there's this tendency that we see all the time of folks say, "Oh well, gosh, I want to vote for the guy who's going to win." Like that matters. Vote for the person that you want to vote for. Vote for the person who you think represents your values, your principles, who fights the way you want to fight. This isn't the ponies. You're not at the horse track. You're not at the dog track or something. Your vote is not a bet. Your vote is a communication of what you believe Texas could and should be. And so take advantage of Decision Texas, take advantage of TexasScorecard.com, take advantage of these various tools, our friends at iVoter Guide and Texas Right to Life and the Homeschool Coalition, American Principles Project, all these different grassroots groups that exist out there. Take advantage of all these resources to learn about the candidates, and certainly as you have questions or comments, throw them here on with this video, and we'll try to answer them as the day goes on. And also make sure you watch Brandon Walton's every Friday at 5:30 p.m. for the headline.
There you go. Excellent. Thank you. We'll be joining you later with some more updates on the race, but thanks for tuning in.
Bye.